I hope you're not expecting the same passion, but what I'm going to try to do is introduce the site to the group here and also share a little bit about what we've learned over the past couple weeks and months. The site is located in the northeast corner of the town of Milford. It's near the Holliston-Medway line, and the back property line is actually the line between Holliston and Medway in Milford. The site comprises 5 parcels of land that total about 187 acres. It's located near the intersection of 495 and Route 16. The surrounding land uses you'll see are primarily open space to the north, about 1,000 acres. That's the Vietnam biking trails and some other publicly held land. Big thing to notice here is that the commercial industrial property of Fortune Boulevard, that's what we're trying to stay close to. We're trying to keep our development density as close as we can to that commercial industrial to protect the buffer zones to the residential areas that are to the east of the project site. Just a little bit about the site. The site, for those who don't know, the entrance is a gravel quarry operation. There's a lot of grade change between the front of the site and the back of the site. It goes up pretty abruptly from Route 16 all the way up to a high point at the back of the site near the large wetland, about 110 feet of grade change. So that's one of the big challenges we have to deal with. One of the most critical parts of the project is how we're going to deal with the wetland resources. What you see in dark green are all the wetlands on the site. These are wetlands that we found by combining a bunch of resources that we had. First, the Kingsway project had a delineated wetland that was approved that we field verified, and then we also went out and did additional field delineation to make sure that we had all the wetlands shown accurately. The little white dots that you see are certified and potential vernal pools. That's another wetland characteristic. It's just another challenge that we're going to have to deal with. One of the big things to note is the priority habitat that's shown to the north of the project. That's a smaller area than what it used to be. About 5-6 years ago, the spotted turtle was taken off the priority habitat species list. So what happened is that area compressed and actually was removed from the site that we control and is now exclusively to the north and west of our site. One of the other big challenges we have is to make sure we provide enough buffer from the development to the resource areas that are out there right now. So what we've done as a strategy to make sure that we have enough room to work and to do what we want to do is that we've established a 30-foot offset from all the wetlands that are on the site. This 30-foot offset is measured to the hardscape, such as roadways or building edges. We will have some landscaping or grading areas within that 30 feet, but right now, everything that's a firm edge is 30 feet from the wetlands. We've also kept another 50 feet off of wetlands that have vernal pools in them or off of stream locations, so that provides us another 50 feet to work in that we won't be disturbing for buildings or hardscape. What you'll see too, once you overlay the wetlands and once you overlay all the other buffer zones, is that 2 development areas start to develop. The first is the lower part of the site. This is about 50 feet lower than the top part of the site. About 42 acres, and you'll see it's kind of narrow, but it's still a pretty sizable parcel that we could do a development on. The upper parcel is about 50 acres. The challenge with that is that's principally upland area, but it has a lot of vernal pools and a lot of wetlands that we have to work around. But our goal is to try and keep density. The upper parcel is closer to Fortune Boulevard, closer to 495, and also up on the higher end of all the wetland resources. So all the wetlands that you see end up migrating to the north. So what we want to do is keep our development from being in amongst all those wetlands and keep it towards the top of the system. One of the bigger challenges too, since we want to develop the upper part of the site, is what you see highlighted in orange is the transmission line for National Grid. This is not just a small transmission line either. This is a major transmission line that serves most of the eastern seaboard. The 2 350 kV lines and 2 115 kV lines, that's a lot of power. But what we did is about 2 years ago, we met with National Grid. We were trying to figure out if there's a way we could put it underground. I'd say about half an hour, we found out pretty quickly that that wasn't going to be a possibility, but they did agree to meet with us, and actually they proposed the idea of relocating them above ground. So what we've done now to essentially clear that footprint up top to allow us to develop on the north part of the site is relocate the transmission lines above ground on new towers. Now, what this does is it allows us to maintain the buffer zones to the nearby neighborhoods, and it also gives us another bit of buffer between the development and the adjoining neighborhoods, and it keeps all of our density further to the east and further to the south so that we're closer to Fortune Boulevard and all the higher intense uses over there. So what you start to see is that this site lends itself now to our proposed development. In total, it's going to be about 2,400 feet. That's just under a half a mile from the residential uses. And the closest element is going to be about 1,400 feet. That's going to be the relocated transmission lines. So now that we've showed you real quickly about where we're hoping to develop, now Mike Hall from my office from Tetra Tech is going to come up and explain to you how we hope to get people there, to and from there with traffic.